Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Turin here, and welcome to another entry in our Community Cast series. In this game, we are going to have a matchup between Dark Garino, who's going to be playing the Greenskins, and he's going to be facing off against Pharaoh of War, who's going to be playing the Empire. We actually have some pretty cool lords. We got Skarsnik up in here. Well, I guess cool lord. Looks like Pharaoh's just using a general of the Empire, but let's jump right into the army composition and have some fun. So for the Greenskin player, he has a front line of Savage. It looks like Savage Orc Biggins mixed in with Savage Orcs. I like Savage Orc Biggins as kind of a kind of a mix-in type unit, just like he did here, because they do have a bit of an anti-large bonus. So if they do get mixed up with like Demogryph Knights or a General of the Empire on a Flying Griffin, they can really do some serious work. Again, they have 46 weapon strength, and let's actually go ahead and take a look at what their kind of bonus versus large is. So it's only 8, but still, I mean, when their weapon strength in total is 46, another 8 actually makes quite a bit of a difference. So aside from that, it looks like he does have Savage Orcs across the line, Savage Orc Biggins just kind of going back and forth. And in the secondary line, he actually did mix in Squig Herds. So I remember when Squigs were kind of first released, a lot of people were using them to kind of run around and using them like cav. But now as kind of the metagame's developed a little bit, I noticed a lot of people are actually using the Squigs more so as like infantry. So they actually mix them in with Savage Orcs, which is really nice because you kind of get your, I was going to say tank and spank, but you get your spank and spank here. you get the Squigs doing armor piercing, and you get the Savage Orcs just tearing apart Empire infantry. Like literally, if you mix Squigs and Savage Orcs together, you pretty much have an answer to everything that the Empire has to offer in terms of infantry. You can deal with great swords, and Savage Orcs are excellent against Empire infantry. They definitely do a very, very good job. So aside from that, let's go ahead and pause it here because the fighting's about to start. He does have a Giant. He has Skarsnik. Giant's a little bit of a questionable pick against the Empire. Granted, in a niche kind of forested map, it can do pretty well for you. He does have the Rusty Heirs kind of protected by a group of nasty Skulkers back here with their smoke bomb. Excuse me. Then he also does have a Goblin Big Boss and an Orc Shaman. Aside from that, he actually did bring some Forest Goblin Spider Riders. So I'm thinking maybe he wanted to like go use these guys to kind of maybe lock down the General of the Empire using their poison attacks. Pretty interesting stuff, but always cool to see some new units getting brought to the table. So yeah. Pretty cool army composition for the Greenskin player. For Pharaoh of War, he has an Amber Wizard, a General of the Empire. He does have the silver bullets, I think, or handgunners back here. I think he has silver bullets in the back somewhere. Yeah, it looks like he does. A mixture of Spear, Sigmar Sons, Unbreakable Frontline Troops, and some Swordsmen. Who'll definitely get cut up by the Savage Orcs, but again, they're very cheap and pretty good little fodder units. They have believe it or not, Swordsmen actually have pretty good, combat stats. They have 32 melee defense and 32 melee attack, which isn't bad at all compared to like the 15 melee defense of Savage Orcs. So yeah, let's get right into the battle. So it looks like the General of the the Empire player actually uses a net here, and he nets down these spiders. So very, very well played, because those spiders were about to get right into a bunch of his handgunners, but the Demogryph Knights are able to come in and actually get a wrap. And then he also uses his Amber Wizard here, as well as the General of the Empire, who it's a bit of a terror bomb type situation. Like these troops are pretty much probably already terror routed. Yeah, you can see they're already terrified, if not already wavering. So the Savage Orc Biggins and the other troops kind of push in here pretty aggressively, trying to get a little bit of poke, but they're going to have pretty much no hope of catching these guys. But you can see the Dark Garino, the Greenskins, go for a Foot of Gork here. A bit of a miss, but I think it did hit some of the Demogryph Knights. Let's go ahead and take a look. So unfortunately, it doesn't look like it did much damage to those guys, but a valiant attempt. You always got to give people prop for using the Foot of Gork. So good stuff, good stuff. So the Rusty Heirs are back here in a firing line, and you can see in the front line the Savage Orcs have engaged with the Sigmar Sons. Sigmar Sons will put up a pretty good fight considering they have 43 melee defense and 43 melee attack, but Savage Orc Biggins are just excellent in melee and will tear it up. So across the whole front line, you can see Flagellants are fighting against Savage Orcs, which is going to be pretty one-sided for the Savage Orcs, and you can see the Squigs over here. Squigs are very, very strong in infantry battles. They actually do have a buff, so for those of you guys that haven't seen it, let's go ahead and see if we can kind of get it on the tooltip here. I don't know if we're going to be able to, but yeah, we'll check later. But regardless, when they are in combat, if you guys see that little red face in the corner, that is actually a buff they get. I believe it gives them like additional armor piercing damage and some other stats. So we'll check in on it later. So in the front line, the Giant is also coming in, and the Savage Orcs have kind of gotten around the flank. So Pharaoh of War, when you get these really expensive like these Royal Demogryph or Hippogriff Knights, or not Hippogriff Knights, excuse me, but the Royal Hippogriffs, they're very expensive, and they cut into your kind of quality of infantry. So he is having to pull Spearmen from auxiliary, although he did get a really, really solid position over here. So very well played by Pharaoh, getting these silver bullets kind of positioned over here in the forest, and they're just shooting down the line at some of these Savage Orcs, having no issue. And what's really great about these guys in this matchup is they do magic damage. So they're not going to have any issues tearing apart Savage Orcs who have 30% physical resistance, but these guys are literally shooting right into this tree, like not even trying to get around that. So Pharaoh does pull these guys back, probably realizing that his front line might be getting compromised a little bit. The Greenskin, like infantry corps, is just so powerful. He had so many Savage Orcs. You can also see Skarsnik and Goblin here putting up a pretty great fight. Looks like he's doing something with his staff, but he's going a little bit deep here, but this is going to be a very, very good situation for the Greenskin player. The Giant is also in here. He has been taking cannon fire this whole game, so the Giant is down to about 20 to 30% of his HP. But you can see the Squigs, this is exactly where you want them. You want them fighting greatswords. The armor piercing is going to be really good, and you can see the leadership of these greatswords is actually down to 30 already, so it's tanking really fast. fast. And honestly, I'd be curious if Savage Orc Biggins could actually beat Greatswords. I feel like they might be able to with that really high weapon strength. Although, yeah, hard to say, but they still do have very low melee defense, and I think Greatswords actually do have a true anti-infantry bonus. Let's go ahead and check. Yeah, they do have +8, so that would be interesting to test. So over here on the far side, you can see the Giant is taking a ton of fire. Pharaoh of War has gotten his troops in the back and kind of resecured. Definitely very, very wise, but the battle has really kind of focused on this area right here. You can see the Giant and everything is just kind of conglomerating right here just to kind of fight this final cockfight. But something I did miss here, and I wish I could have shown you guys, is that Pharaoh of War did get his General of the Empire and the Amber Wizard and actually sniped out Skarsnik. So they came down and really jumped him very aggressively, and you can see that Skarsnik is actually broken. So very, very tough stuff there. But I think in that trade, the Amber Wizard did take quite a bit of damage. It's down to about, 10% HP, and it is wavering. So if that thing comes back in, it's going to be really susceptible to dying. So the Greenskin forces here are kind of recuperating. Skarsnik will probably run back a little bit, a little ways. He'll get back here, but there is no kind of Empire troop to really pressure him. Would have liked to see if those Demogryph Knights just to kind of detach from this battle and go finish off Skarsnik. Greenskin armies have, issues with leadership in general and terror and all those type of things. So if he was able to really finish off Skarsnik here and just push him off the battlefield, I think that could have been absolutely devastating. So just my 2 cents there. And of course, it's very easy for me to say that watching from this perspective. Over here on the far side, you can see Pharaoh of War does have this Hammer of the Witches still online, and he does have some handgunners back here as well as the silver bullets. We're slightly obstructed, but they all have a ton of ammunition. So even if the Empire line collapses in here and the Greenskin player is able to kind of countercharge, he's going to just get Last Samurai as he pushes out. So a lot of the Greenskin troops are kind of retreating and, getting their bearings again, but they are coming back, and Skarsnik has rallied. He is now steady, and the troops are going to kind of push back in here and just fight tooth and nail. And you can see the Savage Orc. Are these the Biggins? Yeah, so I think some Savage Orc Biggins are fighting in here, and they're going to do very well against the Demogryph Knights. You can see a very, very good net of Amnitok locking a lot of those guys down, but the Orc Shaman's coming in to fight as well. If he can get this Amber Wizard, that would be a really, really nice pick as well. Its leadership is actually down to about 12. Over here, you do have some squigs. And while we're at it, let's go ahead and just kind of put that age-old question to rest. So the squigs back here, it gives them 18 armor piercing damage, melee attack, leadership, and melee defense. So really good stuff that you mix in the squigs with infantry. And oh, did we just miss the Foot of Gork? So I think there was a Foot of Gork there when I was trying to show you guys the squigs. And that actually really, really dumpstered those guys. It just like, look at all these flattened Demogryph Knights. So the first Foot of Gork was a bit of a miss, but that second one just was a home run. And he just put those Demogryph Knights down. And I think were those the Royal Altdorf Griffites? I think they might have actually been. So pretty much the Empire forces here are collapsing a little bit. It looks like there are some Greatswords left, but he does have a Goblin Big Boss, some Savage Orcs coming back, 85 Nasty Skulkers. And even though they are low tier, that every bit counts. But still, he's going to have to advance on this. But look at that. Even the General of the Empire took a huge beating from that. So very, very well played there with that Foot of Gork. This is an incredibly close game. You can see there's still 1 minute and 28 seconds left, and you can't really tell who's going to win at this point. So the Silver Bullets and other troops are kind of just lining up here and firing into the forest. You can see that Light Wizard gets run over by the Goblin Big Boss, who charges into these guns. And yeah, the Light Wizard's still alive, though. I think he's holding on. But the Nasty Skulkers are going to get in here and just start prison shanking these guys. And oh man, look at that guy get decapitated. So across the whole line, the Nasty Skulkers are coming in. And though they're meant to fight armor, handgunners are pretty pitiful in melee. Even the Nasty Skulkers can probably take them down. So they're getting in there, and you can see that the Green Tide is emerging from the forest, just furious and angry about just being pinned down and netted for about the past 45 minutes. They're definitely going to try and decapitate this Light Wizard here in just a moment. So they're pushing out. They're definitely going to be able to route these Silver Bullets and just kind of, really punish these guys. You can see Skarsnik is up on the back line. He's in pretty good shape over here. Some Savage Orc Biggins in pretty good shape as well. One Sigmar Sun. Back here, though, he still does have the Hammer of the Witches. He also does have some handgunners, but the General of the Empire is just so tattered. I don't know if he's going to be able to really have enough to like stop all these guys. You can see even the Light Wizard is starting to rout off at this point. And look at this guy just all triumphantly riding on his board, just getting in there. So he's going to charge in and hopefully be able to do some good work here. So he charges in right now and gets in there and just takes out 3 or 4 guys. Definitely going to be able to rout them. And I would like to see him go after this Light Wizard, but at this point it's just kind of like select everything and run in, no mercy. So the Greenskins are getting in there. They're going pretty deep. They're going to be able to do some pretty good work against these handgunners. Very, very well played by both players. This was an incredibly close cockfight. Something that I think was pretty solid. That almost sounded like clockfight, right? But anyways, just pulling up and around and forcing the fight in this forest was crucial. Like those Silver Bullets and those handgunners and the Hammer of the Witches lost so much effectiveness. Whereas if that fight was like an open field, like right here, that would have been a very, very different battle. So very good patience. Even though he took more fire initially, I think at the end of the day, it really paid off. So great little battle there. That was super fun. So I like the army composition from both players. The Forest Goblin Spider Rider would probably be something I would change, but still, I mean, I guess they did their job. They came in and baited out some nets, right? So And the Giant also was a little bit of a risky gambit. The Cannon was really good at kind of poking that thing down, as well as the handgunners and stuff. But still, he made that build work, and he did, Dark Greeno did very well. And Pharaoh played very well, Pharaoh of War played very well as well. I think one of the issues, again, was the forest terrain. That was very tough, like fighting in there. It's also very tough to kind of orient your missiles and get them firing, and they're just going to constantly be obstructed. Plus, they didn't have a very good slope to fire in, so that was also quite tough. But regardless, very well played to both players, Dark Greeno and Pharaoh of War. Thank you for sending me this replay, and hey guys, hope you enjoy this cast, and we'll be seeing you guys next time. Take care.